All right, today we're going to start. This is session number 1 of working with Photoshop. We're going to work with Photoshop a little bit, and let me show you where we're headed. Today we're going to use Photoshop to combine some pictures together, and we are going to put Barney on the moon, which is where he belongs as far as I'm concerned. That way I don't have to hear that annoying song. Whoops, did I say that out loud? All right, but this is what we're all going to work on today. We're going to put Barney on the moon. Now, I'm going to hop out of Photoshop and show you some things about getting started on this assignment. First of all, if you click your Start button and go to Computer and go to Drive L and get to either, you're in 3rd hour or 6th hour, whichever one shows up there, go to Assignments, go to Photoshop, and this is session number 1, Masking with Barney. All right, now inside that folder, here is this little, it says Mask 1, Barney on the Moon. That's kind of a step-by-step guide to how to do all of this. All right, you're going to have to start Photoshop. You're going to have to open the picture of Barney. You're going to have to, and it says it's on your network drive. It's not. It's on Drive L. You're going to have to open the photo of the moon here, and then all of the step-by-step instructions about what I'm going to do are on this handout. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate it here, but this little step-by-step guide is available on Drive L on the courses drive. All right, so I'm going to get this out of the way here for a minute, and I want to show you first of all, this is our first session in Photoshop, so you might not have a shortcut or anything like that. So I'm going to go to the Start button, and I'll go to All Programs, and if you look in your, and you're going to want CS6, so pay attention here. If you go to your Adobe Design and Web CS6. Make sure you get CS6. You'll see Photoshop CS6 right here. Great. Now, again, a good idea, since we're going to use Photoshop a little bit, is to do a right-click, do Send To, and do Desktop. Right-click, Send To, Desktop, and that will make a shortcut for you on your desktop. And you can do that anytime, and that way you have, I'll show you what that looks like. I'll get this out of the way here. In fact, I'll just go ahead and close this. You've got a Photoshop shortcut on your desktop, and that can be really, really helpful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and double-click my Photoshop shortcut and get it fired up. All right, so here we are in Photoshop. Now the first thing here, and again this was on that handout that I just showed you here, you got to open up these photos. They're not on your network drive. I know it says they're on your network drive. They're not there. All right, we're going to go to File. We're going to go to Open. We've got to go over here to Computer, and they're on this Courses drive that we're using to store things on. So I'll go to the Courses drive, and again you're either in period 3 or 6. That's you'll only see 3 or you'll only see your class period. All right, so I'll just use 3 as an example. Go to Assignments, go to Photoshop, and this is our first session, session number 1, Masking with Barney. And here are the pictures, Barney and Moon. Now we need both of them, so I'll go ahead and open up Barney. Then I'll click File, Open, and I'll open up the moon. Now, the 2 pictures are still here. You only see the moon right now, but Photoshop works in a tabbed environment, and so these tabs right across the top here indicate which picture you're looking at. Here's Barney, here's the moon. And you can switch anytime you want. Just click the tab you want. Okay? Now, our job here turns out to be to get Barney out of this picture and on to this picture. Okay. Well, here's how we're going to do that. There are actually several ways, and I don't know how much Photoshop experience you have, but I'm going to show you how I would like for you to attack this. I'm going to take this lasso tool, that's the 3rd tool down, and with this lasso tool I'm just going to work my way around Barney, and this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to kind of loop. And if you're using a mouse, you have to click and hold the button down the whole time you're doing this. If by chance you're using a graphic tablet, you have to touch the pen to the tablet and drag it around here, and don't lift the pen until you get back to where you started. The whole key is getting back to where you started. Whether you're using a mouse or a tablet, get back to where you started, and you can either lift the pen or let go of the button, and that's got it. That's called making a selection. I have selected Barney. All right, now that he's selected, I want to go to the Edit menu and go to Copy. All right, now there's a keyboard shortcut for that, Control-C, Edit, Copy. Good. Now I'm going to go over to the moon picture, and I want to paste him. This is a copy and paste kind of thing. So I'm going to go to Edit, Paste, or there's a keyboard shortcut, Control-V, and Barney is now on the moon. Now, the next thing you might want to do here is just kind of work with the sizing and positioning of Barney a little bit. And the way you can do that is go to the Edit menu, and I'm going to do a free transform, which there's a keyboard shortcut, Control T. All right, so I'll click on that. And when you see these handles, you can size Barney, you can grab him and move him. You could rotate him a little bit if you float outside the box. You can rotate him. And I don't really, I don't really care where you put him. He can be small and floating in space, or he can be a little bit bigger. It's just whatever you want. I'll just kind of put him right down here. That looks good enough. All right. Now, when you're transforming like this and you have this frame around Barney, you got to do there's a lot of ways that you can finish this off. If you're done, you could press enter, and that will make this frame or this box go away. You can double click inside the box, and that will make it go away. There's also on the top of the screen on the control panel up here, there's a check mark, and you can hit that check mark, and that will make the box go away. So however you want to do it is fine. Double click, press enter, hit the check mark, whatever. Now, the only problem we have left here is that there's extra junk around the outside of Barney that I want to get rid of, and this is what's called masking. I'm going to get rid of that stuff that's around Barney, but you have to be a little bit careful about how you set it up and how you go about it. So let's check this out. I'm going to come over to the right hand side to this area that's called the Layers panel. All right, you'll see it labeled over here. It's the Layers panel, and it has kind of these little thumbnail pictures. You can see the moon and you can see Barney, and they're stacked on top of each other, and that's the Layers panel. Now, on the Layers panel, I'm going to just look down at the bottom, and one of the buttons down here looks like a rectangle with a hole cut in it, and that's called the Layer Mask button. You've got to click this button to make this work. It says, you get a pop-up that says Add Layer Mask. All right, so I'm going to click that button, and you'll see that on the Barney layer, this white box appears, and we need that box. All right. This is what's called a layer mask. And think about a mask. A mask covers things up, and what I want to do here is cover up parts of this Barney picture that I don't want, and it's the part I don't want is the part that's around the edge of Barney. Now, the way we work with a layer mask is to come over here, and again, you've got to make sure that this, see how this is selected? It's got that little frame around it. You've got to make sure that's selected. Now, to work on the mask, you've got to come over and get a paintbrush. All right, the brush tool is about a third of the way down the toolbar. You can tap B for brush if you want to do it that way. It's just a regular brush tool. You've got to make sure you have just the regular brush, not like the history brush or not one of these pencil tools or the mixer brush, just the regular brush. Okay. Now the next thing you got to check here, you got to look at the colors. Down here at the bottom of the toolbar, there's boxes that are probably going to be black and white. For this to work, it's got to be black on top, white on bottom. I want to paint with black right now. Paint with black. Okay, and black is the top color, so that's what I'm going to be painting with. That's the way you want that to look. All right, here's another thing that you need to check. Up here on the control panel, and this is probably going to be true, but it's a good idea to check it. We want the mode of the brush to be normal. If you ever look up here and it's on something like dissolve or screen or color dodge or whatever, yes, when we're doing a mask, we don't want it to be that way. We want it to be normal. So I'm going to make sure that that's on normal. All right, so I have a paintbrush and it's black and it's normal. All right. Now, here's what happens. When I take this paintbrush and I begin to paint around the edge of Barney, you'll see, and you can kind of see it here, and I'm going to zoom in on this in a minute. As I paint around there, the stuff that I don't want begins to disappear. And that's what masking is. It's kind of painting away, or painting with black just kind of covers up the stuff that you don't want. Now, here's a couple of things that are going to make this easier. It would be much easier if I could zoom in on this picture. So I'm going to hit Control plus on the keyboard. Hold down Control and tap the plus key on the keyboard, and I can zoom in. Now you can see that brush on there. If my brush is too big or too small, I can tap the left bracket right next to the letter P on the keyboard, or the right bracket to make it bigger. Left bracket, right bracket. And then I can get in here and I can kind of paint around here and do a little better job. Now, as I'm working, as I'm zoomed in here, and you can see that I'm painting with black paint, and I can make the brush smaller if I want to get into these little nooks and crannies and things. If I need to move around, I can hold down the space bar and just drag the picture. All right, and that makes it a little bit easier, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger and kind of try to pick up the speed here. I need to finish this movie. All right, so here we go. I'm going to paint right around. You see, as I go around with this black paintbrush, and you want to be as careful as you can. This is where you kind of your Photoshop skill you got to practice. All right, and I'll hold the space bar, drag the picture. There we go, and I'm painting with black paint on that layer mask. And I'm just, it's not really erasing the stuff that's there, but I'm kind of covering it up is what I'm doing. All right, so again, hold the space bar, drag the picture, and I'm just painting around here, and this extra junk that's around the outside of Barney that I don't want, I'm painting it away. I'm making it disappear. That's what a mask does. All right. So again, important things. You have to make sure that you're on the layer mask, the little white box that's on the layer panel. You have to make sure that you're using the regular paintbrush, and you have to make sure that it's black paint that you're painting with and that the mode is normal. All right, so folks, that's a lot of stuff, but hey, we're learning how to use Photoshop. So that's part of it. Just learning the settings and the way that you have to control this to make it work. All right. Now that black shadow doesn't look terrible there. You can kind of decide what to do. If you just want to get rid of that black shadow, you could paint over it and get rid of it, or you could leave it. If you think just the plain black shadow looks good, you could kind of leave it there. All right. So I'm painting away here. I'm almost done. Make my brush a little bit smaller to kind of get in this little armpit area here and around his hand. All right. And I'm almost finished, and I'll just clean that up a little bit right there. Hey, that's pretty good. Now, if I want to zoom back out, Control minus on the keyboard will do it. Hold down the Control key and tap the minus sign, or you can hold down the Control key and tap the number 0, and it zooms right back out to a full view. Hey, look, I got Barney on the moon. That's exactly what I was shooting for here, and I did it by lassoing, copying, pasting, transforming, and then doing this layer mask thing here with the paintbrush and black paint and the mode set on normal, and you got to make sure you're selected on that layer mask, that special part of the layer over here. Hey, this is ready to save. It's all done. So now what I would do is go to File and go to Save As, and I would get make sure I save it on my network drive here. So I'll get to Computer and Drive H, and you can just name this. You can kind of rename this. We'll call it Barney on the moon. All right, Barney on the moon. And we can save that. Now, you'll probably see this box about maximize compatibility. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Just click OK. And folks, that's it. We did it. We have put Barney on the moon, and that's what we're after today. Hey, it's your turn. Try that out. Have at it.